How crazy can a man be?
Only the check off from the neck.
All flames roll on puff, and absolute crackers and no cheese.
As bad as hot hair.
Obviously designed to shock and startle.
Hi there, I go by the name of John. I enjoy laughing maniacally. I'm an advocate of avocados. I like cameras and films. My hero is Travis Bickle, and I'm a former service user of the Early Intervention in Psychosis service.
Hello, I'm Dominic. I live in Eastbourne. I like football and computers, and I'm a former service user of the Early Intervention in Psychosis service.
Hi, my name's Jo. I'm a former service user of the Early Intervention service in Psychosis, and I enjoy taking long walks with the dog and watching films, especially really, really bad horror films.
A psychotic episode is losing grip of what reality is, what most people think reality is. For me personally, it was more like slipping gradually. My thoughts and my feelings changed significantly, but it was like a natural, and it's a complete change of outlook. And all of life, all your world, your people around you, your job, your relationship, everything suddenly becomes different. Your perception has changed.
The first symptoms were just like my name being called. It sounded like it was coming from down a corridor, or maybe someone whispering it behind me, or I could hear voices but I couldn't really hear what they were saying. It sounded a lot like children giggling and things like that. And at first I was thinking, is this place haunted, or am I just being strange? I used to work in a very old building, so I thought, oh, maybe there's just not the knocks and the bangs and things, but it happened at home as well. But that quickly progressed from there into quite severe psychosis very quickly.
I was really unfulfilled, not just in my course, but just generally in life. All the walls around your brain, it just crumbled away, and all these ideas I had for films kind of just spewed out. I felt like I'd become some sort of special, almost messiah-like person with all this energy that had been manifesting for a long time.
Anyone, normal person or any kind of whoever would believe, yes, that is a stone. We all know that to be a stone. Well, I believed that I was Jesus, or that I was some special being here to save the planet, as much as you believe this is a stone.
And I started to have quite severe beliefs about the end of the world was coming, and that I was communicating with the devil. And then sort of within a few weeks it had got to a stage where I was sort of hallucinating murderers and things in my house and giving me commands. And if I didn't go through with them, then they were going to hurt my friends and family and things like that. So yeah, it got quite scary very quick. It went from seeming quite light-hearted to really serious really quick. And of course I was afraid to ask for help as well, because I'd been told not to by my hallucinations. They told me not to ask for help, so how could I?
I was speaking a million miles an hour to my friends about thousands of different topics in the same sentence. Paint all over me and like coffee stains, and writing all up my arm, running around on like rooftops with my camera, laughing at all the mundane stuff going on beneath me. I was staying up, I couldn't sleep, and I began to get quite lonely in those like early hours in the morning, just by myself, like no one to kind of unleash the rabid conversation onto. I started talking to my dictaphone like it was a friend, so it was like the only one who'd listen to me and not kind of judge me, or just kind of, it would just preserve this weird thing that was going on with me. Writing loads of stuff, just random, half nonsense and half kind of almost my own kind of theology.
And I was speaking in a lot of metaphors, and people thought I was almost like, I don't know, rhyming or kind of speaking in riddles. And I remember a couple of my friends actually saying to me, you know, you're talking in riddles. What are you trying to say? You know, because I was always giving this impression of, you know what I mean, really. But they didn't. Like, not how I felt anyway.
I started communicating quite a lot with one of my hallucinations, and he had sort of told me that if I, he was a murderer who passed away a few years ago, and I believe he'd come back to talk to me, and we made a deal that if he could be with me when I killed my friends and family, then he would help me do that, because that way they would escape a worse fate. Because if they hung around till the end of the world, things were going to get really, really bad. So in my mind, it was like a mercy killing. I was saving them from a fate worse than death. And, you know, it was really stressing me out, because I was trying to make plans. Obviously, I didn't want them to suffer. I wanted it to be over quick and as painless as possible. But it's very hard to do that to someone you love.
My friend rang my mum and said, there's something not right with John. He's talking about all this stuff that doesn't make any sense, and we don't know what to do. And he's saying he's seeing all these people who look like they're from the Planet of the Apes, and he's talking to people who aren't even there. So my mum came. She found me locked out of my house and locked in my garden, and just like in a pile of broken glass and all sorts of stuff, quite distressed. And I just had my head on my guitar and had a little towel, and I was just kind of desperately saying, I just need to sleep, I just need to sleep. Just let me sleep, I'll be fine.
When I first heard the term early intervention service, my first thoughts were the Finding Nemo film, where the two sharks shout, "Intervention!" and they grab the other shark from eating the fish. And I saw that as quite a bad thing. Like, oh, so they're grabbing me on the shoulder, intervention! So, yeah, I didn't see it initially as, oh, this isn't that great. They're intervening in my life, because I can't do it myself. So initially there was a reluctance, and it was all part of the, oh, I've got to accept that I'm mentally ill. Whereas it felt more like, you're all ill, I'm okay.
The first time I met with EIS, I was so withdrawn, because I was so convinced in my beliefs. I thought, this really isn't going to work, you know. I sort of appreciated everyone trying, but I just thought, you don't know what's going to happen, so how can you try and fix me when I'm not the one that's broken? So I was quite reserved.
They wanted to see me and they're really eager to meet me and stuff, and I was still there, can't be bothered, there's nothing they can do to help, and I don't really want to speak to them. A lot of people think it's kind of like a sign of weakness, whereas it does take quite a lot of strength to ask for help. My mum was really desperate for me to get some sort of help, and she bribed me into it. She said, oh, if you let them come and speak to you, then I'll give you a tenner. So I was like, all right, I'll take the tenner. And I just sit here and say yes or no when appropriate to make me seem as sane as possible.
Well, they wouldn't leave me alone. But, well, having said that, you know, there were long periods in the beginning where I wasn't that interested. My care coordinator looked like a bit of a hippie. And I thought, who is this guy turning up on my doorstep wanting tea? So that's the truth. But he kept coming.
Hi, my name's Rick Fraser. I'm a psychiatrist. That means I'm a medical doctor who specialises in helping people with mental health problems. I've been working in the early intervention service in Sussex for about 3 years, and before that I was in Australia working in an early intervention service in Melbourne. I really enjoy playing the guitar and also riding motorbikes.
My name's Katie. I'm freezing cold. My hair's blowing everywhere. I live in Brighton. I have a pet terrapin. My latest project is owning an allotment, and I'm an early intervention in psychosis practitioner.
People will find our teams to be very easy to talk to. I mean, that's the key skill, I think, of an early intervention practitioner, is around engagement and helping people to not feel frightened or worried or ashamed about having mental health problems, because they can happen to any one of us.
Part of the ethos of our way of working is to be patient and flexible. So initially it might just be having a chat. Don't charge in, don't ask too many questions, ask them what they think's been going on for them lately and if there's been anything that's been troubling them, I guess, so that you can kind of make your own assessment, but in more of a collaboration with them.
It was someone really giving me the time to talk and really listened. Someone, I can't recall, I can't really remember anyone giving me that level of attention, just listening regularly, you know, once every week or once every 2 weeks. And it became quite therapeutic without even realising. It was just, this is actually good. And eventually I started to look forward to that time.
Rather than having someone walking along holding my hand the whole time, it was like they were there if I needed them, but they were telling me I could do it myself, and that really helped, because I think that's what got me on the road to recovery a lot quicker, because I was told I could do it. Like every single step, they had complete faith.
The early intervention team is made up of lots of different people with different backgrounds.
You will have a psychiatrist.
We also have employment specialists,
Social workers.
doctors,
Mental health nurses.
pharmacists.
Then there will be care coordinators.
I'm an occupational therapist.
We have support time recovery workers.
Peer support workers. They bring their own experiences of mental health problems.
A psychologist, and they also may be doctors but not medical doctors, and they're specialists in talking therapies and helping people to understand the psychological nature of the psychosis.
I spent a lot of time mulling over whether to get in touch or not, but I didn't really have any other choice. My circumstances pushed me into it, I think.
They got in touch to say that they were having problems with housing. They were being kicked out and they didn't know what to do. So I said, let's meet. We went into town, we had a coffee, we talked about what stuff had been going on, and then we made an appointment with the local housing trust, and they helped us fill in the relevant forms, and we got in touch with the council. And it kind of built from there, actually, because we were going very much based on what they wanted to do.
We talked about what I needed help with practically. So that was money, so I'd quit my job, and somewhere to live. So I'd been kicked out, and just kind of went from there. It was just having someone to talk to was just nice in itself, in a non-judgmental way especially, and detached from your immediate support. That was quite valuable. Never really had that before.
And also, a lot of that time was spent just talking to them. So giving them time to say, crumbs, you know, all this stuff's just happened to me. How do I make sense of it? What else can you help me with? And then we talked about other things.
After I got the immediate problems kind of tended to, I was still quite all over the place. So I decided I might give medication another go.
The medication was a good thing initially, because I wasn't doing myself any good being that high and that sort of out there and unable to continue my life.
I got to speak to a psychiatrist who was actually a nice guy. That was quite strange, because all the psychiatrists I met before then had just talked at me and told me what I needed and what is best for me. The main thing was the choices I was offered, and being really honest and transparent about what they're going to do, how they'll work, and possible side effects and things like that. And also what really helped, or kind of swayed me into it more, was him telling me stories about other people's experiences and how it's helped them, and I kind of identified with a lot of the stories he told me and the particular cases, and I thought, oh, it kind of worked for them, so that sounds like the sort of help I need or would benefit from.
I started taking quetiapine, and within 2 days the voices stopped, all of it, everything stopped. I remember I was sitting on the sofa and reading a book and just suddenly thought, hang on a minute, this is silence. This is what other people mean when they mean silence. And I didn't realise until then, but all my life I've never had silence. I've always had some little voice in my head, you know, a negative voice, or I've had an outside, what I call my outside voice, where it's like constantly shouting your name, or you're hearing sirens or stuff like that. And this was silence. This was actual, real silence.
We offer family work to talk about what they're finding difficult. We would help them draw on their strengths as a family and try and solve that problem. And also help people give their own version of the tale, because a story for somebody's mum about how their son was unwell might be so different from how their son experienced it.
I'm Kay. I live in the country. I've got 2 dogs, lots of sheep, and I've also got a daughter who suffered from psychosis. It was interesting when they first got in contact, because there was an immediate excitement that something was happening that would assist the situation. And then there was a slight apprehension. My husband had certainly been somewhat dubious to begin with as to how this was going to be helpful. He's very much if you have a problem, I'll be there to fix it.
My dad chose to come with me to like family work and talk about the reasons why it came.
When we had the family sessions, they were able to address a number of issues that they might otherwise not have brought up.
My family had to work hard with me to sort of start talking, having really involved conversations, talking about all the airings, deep stuff. And in the end it helped my dad as well, and it helped other people in my family, because they would be looking at what their stuff and their difficulties.
And being able to stand back sometimes and know that there is someone else to take up the pain, the hurt, the struggles, gives you the strength to then be mum or be dad.
We'll actually take referrals from anyone, so you don't have to be a doctor, or you don't have to be a psychologist or a nurse to make a referral. Actually, family members can make referrals. Young people can refer themselves if they're worried.
I actually really like working with young people. You can be really, really creative about how you work with someone, because everyone's different, and you're working with people who have a lot of milestones coming up in their life, whether it's starting uni for the first time, whether it's having their first serious relationship, or starting a job for the first time. Often quite kind of big deals, and you get to support that person to get back to what they want to get back to. Every single person has a very different story to tell, and every single person recovers in a very different way.
Recovery is whatever people want to call recovery, because it's their psychosis that they are recovering from.
So I think it's about managing symptoms as they come up and still being able to live your life the way you want to live it.
So I think it's really important that other people, that professionals, don't try and impose their own version of recovery on a person who's experiencing psychosis.
A big part of that is about helping somebody work out how they stay well.
Oh, I've had a big change around in the last few years. I moved into my own flat for a while, which was really nice. I got a pet, I got a dog, which is something I didn't think I'd be able to take on responsibility for. I didn't think I would be responsible enough. I've got not one but 2 new jobs working in mental health, which is something I love, and engaged as well, which is something that I never thought I would do because I didn't see myself having a future. So yeah, now I'm saving to buy a house as well. So yeah, it's all moving pretty well.
Mental health isn't just for people that have been caught. I think I just got caught. Whereas a lot of people out there live with depression, live with anxiety, worries that affect their life, but people hide it. So I got caught. I couldn't hide it very well, and I got collared in a way, but it's actually the best thing that's ever happened, because I'm, generally speaking, a much happier person, and I now think I'm working towards happier and better. I still have to go through it sometime, you know, I'm still going through it, but it's better.
It did take a long time, not just to get the chemicals right in the brain, but to kind of step back and reassess life and not see it as like a chance blown, but kind of a better kind of avenue to work from. A lot of people might look at it and think, oh, what would have happened if it didn't happen? And that would have been better than it happening. But I think it's more scary now thinking what would have happened if it didn't happen.